Good morning, everyone. The third Philippine Data Analytics Conference, co-organized by the Development Academy of the Philippines and Mapua University, officially begins in just 5 minutes. You can view the full list of presentations in the parallel sessions this afternoon by scanning the QR code on the screen. Thank you. followed by the opening to be led by SPARTA data analyst, Mr. Jerby Lopez.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, elas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisikin, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng bagaw, ay hinatang tulang awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawag mo'y tagumpay na naghihiling, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di maghihiling. Lumalang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga api, at mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Morning, everyone, and welcome to the third Philippine Data Analytics Conference. I am Karen.
And I am Nico, and we are your masters of ceremony today. This is already the third edition of our conference, and this time the DAP is co-organizing the event with Mapua University. So, Karen, can you give us a preview of what's in store for our participants today?
Sure, Nico. This morning, we'll have a panel discussion on how to integrate academic insights and industry practices in data analytics. This is the chance for our participants to ask questions from the industry leaders and experts. Also, this afternoon, we'll be witnessing several capstone presentations directed towards solving issues in social development, e-commerce and finance, and education. And this time naman, our attendees can exchange ideas with each other.
Wow, that sounds like a full day of learning awaits all of us. So are you guys ready to kick off today's event? Everyone, can we get a yes?
Yes.
So there you go. So now, without further ado, please turn your attention to our screen for the opening message of the DAP President and Chief Executive Officer, Mahalea V. Ravago, PhD.
Dr. Josefina Almeda, Executive Director, Philippine Statistical Research and Training Institute. Ariel Kelly Balan, Dean, Mapua School of Information Technology. Michelle Alarcon, President, Analytics and Artificial Intelligence Association of the Philippines. Dr. Kino Piad, Vice President for Research, Extension and Innovation, Bulacan State University. Dr. Carla Carmela Ramos, Chairperson, Information Technology Department, Pangasinan State University. Academic partners for this conference, members of the Bulacan State University, Iloilo State University of Fisheries, Science and Technology, Western Mindanao State University, DAP SPARTA scholars, ladies and gentlemen, A pleasant morning to all of you. It is with great honor and pleasure that I welcome you to the Development Academy of the Philippines' 3rd Philippine Data Analytics Conference. The DAP works closely with various agencies and organizations to help realize the Philippine Development Plan 2023-2028 under the Marcos Jr. administration. We are committed to transforming various sectors and equipping individuals with the skills needed to be more competent. In this digital age, the DAP recognizes the importance of mainstreaming data analytics skills and competencies to meet global standards for a digitally transformed organization, especially when digital transformation is pivotal amid the rapid spread of digitalization. Today, we proudly showcase the data-driven solutions developed by DAP SPARTA learners and graduates who have applied their knowledge and skills in data analytics to address some of the nation's most pressing challenges in education, finance, and social development. This proves that the DAP's Sparta data analytics training through massive open online courses and live sessions has made a lasting impact not only on the lives of the scholars, but also on the communities and organizations they serve. May this conference serve as a platform for you to further refine the solutions you have crafted, exchange insights with fellow participants, and expand your professional network. I encourage everyone to actively engage in enriching discussions and parallel sessions with industry leaders and professionals. Let us work together to expand this community of experts and strive for a data-driven Bagong Pilipinas that ensures a realization of our Ambisyon 2040 of matatag, maginhawa, at panatag na buhay for every Filipino. Again, thank you very much and good morning to all.
Thank you.
President for Programs of the Development Academy of the Philippines, Ms. Magdalena Mendoza.
Okay, so we have our keynote up next. To introduce our keynote speaker, may we call on Sparta Project Manager, Ms. Donna Pamela Gonzalez.
Okay, good morning. Our keynote speaker is the Agency Head and Executive Director 3 of the Philippine Statistical Research and Training Institute. She spearheads the capacity building of all government agencies She also manages the statistical research of the agency that addresses the attainment of programs and plans of the Philippine Development Plan and of the Sustainable Development Goals. The agency achieved ISO 9001:2015 quality certification under her administration. She contributed to the development and review of the training modules on gender statistics under UN Women and UN SIAP and the curriculum review of the economic statistics with UNESCO. Prior to being the agency head of the PSRTI, our speaker of statistics, Diliman, where she also held numerous positions such as college secretary and director of the undergraduate studies program. She is a technical consultant for statistical projects of several international and local organizations. She has received numerous awards and grants from the Philippine Statistical Association, Fajardo Foundation, Department of Science and Technology, and the University of the Philippines. She received the 2009 President's Award for Innovation in Teaching for enriching learning through evidence-based instruction from the University of the Philippines. She holds a PhD in education with a specialization in research and evaluation from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, where she finished her bachelor's and master's degree in statistics. It is my honor, and let us welcome Dr. Josefina Almeda.
President and CEO of the Development Academy of the Philippines, Dr. Maha Ravago, Senior Vice President of the Programs, Development Academy of the Philippines, Ms. Magdalena Mendoza, Vice President for Research, Extension and Innovation of the Bulacan State University, Mr. Kino Piad, DIT, Dean of the School of Information Technology of Mapua University, Mr. Ariel Kelly Balan, President of the Analytics and Artificial Intelligence Association of the Philippines, Ms. Michelle Alarcon, Head of Reporting and Analytics and Business Technologies of Shopee Philippines, Ms. Maria Charmaine Celine Cruz, and Dr. Chester Cabalza, our moderator, esteemed guests, distinguished colleagues, students, good morning to each one of you. So I'm honored to speak on the growing importance of aligning academia and industry in driving economic development with focus on data analytics. So this is the era where data is often referred to as the new oil, and thus aligning academia and industry becomes more critical. All across the globe, data analytics shape economies, transform industries, and revolutionize decision-making processes. And at the heart of this transformation, I'll now give you a question. How can we, as leaders in academia and industry, collaborate to ensure that data analytics becomes a force for economic development that benefits all? So, everyone, let's talk about the economic power of data analytics. Data analytics is not just a tool, but rather it is a strategic asset. And when we talk about the economic power of data analytics, it lies in its ability to transform raw data into valuable insights that drive better decisions, foster innovation, optimize operations, and ultimately contribute to economic growth and development. So, according to McKinsey Global Institute, data analytics could contribute up to $13 trillion to the global economy by 2030. And in businesses, leveraging data leads to 8 to 10% increases in profitability. And in government, using data-driven policies, they improve service delivery by 15 to 20%. So the alignment is not simply between academia and industry, but we also need to involve government. And for us to be fully realizing all of these benefits, then we need to consider also, okay, the two key cornerstones of our country. And what are these? The Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028 and Ambisyon Natin 2040, which is a long-term vision of the country. Are you all familiar with this? Okay, so that's good. So actually, The Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028 provides a roadmap for the nation's socio-economic recovery and growth in the post-pandemic period. And one of the key focus of Philippine Development Plan is promoting inclusivity, resilience, and sustainability. Okay? And of course, it would like to enhance also the capacity for evidence-based policy making. Ambisyon natin 2040 is what we call that we want all Filipinos to have, yung na-mention po kanina, matatag, maginhawa, at panatag na buhay. So, kung i-Englishin po natin ito, ano po ang ibig sabihin yan? Long, healthy, and comfortable lives. And what we want to envision is that by 2040, we will have a prosperous, predominantly middle-class society by 2040. The universal goals of Ambisyon natin 2040 is modern infrastructure, universal healthcare, and environmental stability. And what are we trying to do here? For us to be able to achieve these strategic goals, then we need to align, okay, academia, industry, and government. Okay? So, data analytics really play a role in the PDPs and Ambisyon natin 20 strategic objectives, especially in addressing poverty, education, what else? Employment, and climate resilience. So actually po, ang ambisyon natin 2040, you need to invest in human capital as well as technology. And data analytics is already indispensable. So what do? We can enhance the data analytics skills of the workforce through higher education institutions to ensure that both public and private sectors make informed decisions that contribute to the goals of PDP and Ambisyon natin 2040. So there should be collaboration, right? And what kind of collaboration between universities, industries, and even government? Okay? So, kasi initially our topic is just alignment, right? Between industry and academia. But I believe that we should involve government. Okay? So, universities must evolve their curricula to produce graduates capable of managing complex data ecosystems. Industry leaders, on the other hand, must commit to ongoing investment in advanced data technologies. So paano naman po sa government sector? Okay? So the government agencies actually need a lot of technical people, especially in data analytics. And why is this so? Because they are the ones in charge of coming up with programs and policies that will improve the quality of lives of Filipino people. Okay, so I believe that there should really be alignment, okay, of academia, industries, and government. Now, according to Peter Drucker, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So by aligning academia, industry, with the strategic goals of the Philippine Development Plan and Ambisyon natin 2040, we are actively shaping a future where data is not only a tool for economic development, but also a driver for improved quality of life for all Filipinos. Now, why is alignment critical? So we have several reasons here. Bridging the skills gap, driving innovation through collaboration, informed policy making and sustainable growth, and creating data-driven cultures. So let me explain this through examples. So in bridging the skills gap, the skills needed to meet the growing demand in both government and private sectors require academic institutions to revise curricula in partnership with industry to produce graduates equipped with the right skill sets. So, according to the World Economic Forum, it predicts 85 million jobs may be displaced by technology. Kasama na po yan ang AI, okay, by 2025. But 97 million new jobs, many of them data-related, will emerge. So, on the other hand, IBM projects 28% increase in demand for data scientists and analytical professionals by 2026. So, there's really something that we need to do. Now, in driving innovation through collaboration, okay, as we have mentioned, there has been already collaboration ever since between academia and industry. And this is happening globally. But we need to replicate this success in the Philippines. Do you agree? So anyway, look at this. Data analytics has been shown to improve agricultural yields by 25%. This is from the Food and Agricultural Organization. It also reduced medical errors by 20%, thereby saving lives and reducing costs. So, if we will consider, okay, aligning at the academia, industry, and government, then we will be able to have innovations through collaborations, and thus we will be able to achieve the strategic goals of PDP and Ambisyon Natin 2040. So there should be an ecosystem of collaboration. And for this, Philippines can remain competitive and innovative in a data-driven global economy. Now, another reason why we need to align is for informed policy making and sustainable growth. So data analytics plays a critical role in informing the evidence-based policies advocated by the PDP and Ambisyon Natin 2040. So I've given here an example. PSA, the Philippine Statistics Authority, and the community-based monitoring system informs policies on poverty alleviation, employment, and environmental sustainability. For this year, PSA is conducting the census of population and the community-based monitoring system. Sino na po sa inyo ang na-interview ng mga respective households nyo? Can I see a raise of hand? Okay, very good. So, minsan po, like sa amin, iniiwan lang po nila yung questionnaire kung ayaw nyong magpa-interview. Okay? But I would like to encourage everyone to answer completely and correctly. Okay? Please give the necessary data. And bakit po? Di ba? Sinabi natin, government will always use this data to come up with programs and policies. And that is the purpose for us to, what? Alleviate poverty, to have more employment and environment sustainability. Now, countries that have implemented data-driven policies have shown 10 to 20% improvement in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. That is according to the United Nations. So, are you also familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals? When do we need to achieve this? Okay, 2030. And that's already very near, right? And we're still lagging behind. Actually, hindi lang naman po tayo. Several countries are lagging behind. And why is this so? It's because of the pandemic. Di po ba? So, kailangan nating mag-fast track. Anyway, let's go to the next. Another reason why we need to align is to create data-driven cultures. So, when we embed data analytics into organizational cultures, then this will be the key to achieving the vision of Ambisyon Natin 2040. So in the Philippines, industries must embrace data-driven decision-making to remain competitive and contribute to economic growth. So here, according to DTI, Department of Trade and Industry, data analytics could contribute $15 billion to the Philippine economy by 2030. And demand for data analytics professionals is expected to grow by 30% over the next over the next 5 years. Okay? Andali po. Driven by sectors like BPO, healthcare, and retail. So, what kind of graduates should we produce? Okay? Graduates that are what? Knowledgeable with data analytics. And data analytics is just a new terminology. Before, ang tawag lang dyan, statistics. Tama po ba? Okay? And statistics, if you all recall, is the science of collecting, organizing, presenting, and analyzing data for informed decision-making. Okay, sino na ang nag-statistics dito sa inyo? Lahat po tayo, di po ba? May Stat 101 or Stat 1. Okay? And basically, the purpose of statistics is to really make informed decisions. And another use of that is to inform the public. So basically, it is producing data. Tama po ba? Pero ngayon, okay, actually, after statistics, ang sumunod na terminology is business analytics. And I remember when the School of Statistics in UP Diliman were providing a training on business analytics, we had participants coming from PAL. Isang team dumating. And there were stat graduates in that particular training. So I was asking them, why are you here? Okay? This is just analyzing data, but what kind of data? Business data, but still using statistics. Di po ba? Okay? Anyway, ngayon po, ang uso ng terminology, data science, but you're now combining, okay, computer science, statistics, pero karamihan pa rin po, statistics, no? And some management. Okay, now, I would like to present several examples of businesses in the country that achieve savings or increased income due to data analytics. So let's begin with the Philippine Long Distance Telephone Company. So what did they do? They used data analytics to enhance customer retention by predicting potential churn and offering personalized solutions. And by this, they deliver targeted promotions and services, resulting in lower churn rates, and network performance optimization through analytics also reduce operational costs and enhance service delivery. And what happened? It increased revenue by 2.5 billion pesos through improved customer retention and operational efficiency. Let's have another. Jollibee Foods Corporation. So they also use data analytics to monitor customer preferences and optimize its menu across different regions. So by analyzing sales data, the company adjusted its offerings to align with regional demand, boosting sales by 10%. Additionally, the application of data analytics in supply chain management reduced food waste by 20%, contributing to cost savings. How about Cebu Pacific Air? They use predictive analytics by optimizing flight routes and manage fuel consumption more efficiently. So what happened is that they minimize fuel costs and improve flight efficiency, saving 500 million pesos annually. How about SM Retail? SM Retail also uses data analytics to streamline its inventory management system. So if you will notice, it can be applied in many aspects, okay? That's why statistics can work hand in hand with any field of application. Okay? So kung ano man yung course nyo ngayon, okay, and it doesn't have statistics, you can always take statistics as another. You don't really have to totally diversify and go to the field of statistics. But you can be trained in statistics, okay, and use it as a tool in analyzing your respective field of application. So anyway, going back to SM, they were able to optimize its stock levels, resulting in a 15% reduction in inventory holding costs. And they increased sales by 8%. Now, let's go to government agencies. So the Bureau of Internal Revenue also uses data analytics to identify naman po discrepancies between reported incomes and actual spending patterns. Wala pong problema ang mga tiga-gobyerno. Automatic po kami. May withholding tax po. So, may karapatan po kaming palaging magreklamo. But, of course, in other individuals, okay, they are not sure whether they are really declaring their income correctly. Okay? That's why the BIR should always come up with ways to flag potential tax evaders. Okay? And in doing so, it boosted its tax collection efforts and increased revenue by, imagine, 25 billion pesos in a single fiscal year. Now, for PhilHealth, okay, ano naman sila? To detect fraudulent claims. So, by analyzing claim patterns and identifying irregularities. So, this system helped prevent fake or inflated claims from being processed, resulting in a savings of 4.4 billion pesos in fraudulent payouts. In Pag-ibig Fund, okay, it's used to enhance its loan approval process. And it reduced the approval of risky loans by 20%. So what am I trying to say here? Data analytics is very useful for both industry and government. And thus, the state universities and colleges should be able to align, okay, all these needs in their curriculum, right? So moving forward, as we look into the future, there are several key actions that we can take to ensure that academia and industry and government are aligned with a focus on the strategic goals outlined in the Philippine Development Plan and Ambisyon natin 2040. So what do? First, let's create structured partnerships. So there should be a regular dialogue between universities and companies, as well as government, to help shape curricula, research agendas, and training programs that reflect real-world needs. Another, we invest in lifelong learning. So data analytics is always evolving, and thus there should be continuous education to ensure that the workforce remains adaptable to emerging trends. Next, let's promote ethical data use. So as we embrace data analytics, we must also ensure that its use is ethical, particularly in safeguarding privacy and security. And lastly, foster inclusive growth. So academia should ensure that this will happen. And with that, okay, ano po ang ina-achieve palagi natin? It's the PDP, the SDG, as well as the Ambisyon natin 2040. And I would like to state the words of Steve Jobs. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. So let us lead the way through partnership and collaboration to shape a future driven by data, innovation, and inclusive economic development. And I would like to inform you that my agency, the Philippine Statistical Research and Training Institute, can also have partnerships and collaboration with state universities and colleges. And why is this so? Because we have the mandate to provide capacity building, in particular in statistics, okay, to all agencies in the Philippine statistical system. And who are involved in the Philippine statistical system? All agencies doing data collection, data analysis, and those coming up with programs and policies that will benefit the Filipino people. Sino po ang kasama? From the local government units, Mapa 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th cities, municipalities po yan, up to all the national government agencies. And we don't only capacitate government agencies, we also capacitate state universities and colleges, private companies, and even international organizations. And our capacity building is from data management. Kasi kailangan po, malinis muna ang data nyo before you apply any statistical tool. Kasi hindi po ba? What do we know? Garbage in, garbage out. So no matter how sophisticated is your tool, but if your data is not good, then it's useless. Okay? So we do that. We do a lot of data management using Excel, using Google Sheets. Okay? And then from the most basic statistics to the more advanced statistical tools, we have all those training courses. Okay? You can check our website, psrti.gov.ph. We are an attached agency of NEDA, the National Economic Development Authority, just like the Development Academy of the Philippines, DAP, is also an attached agency of NEDA. Ang PSA po, attached din po NEDA. That includes also the Tariff Commission, the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, yung National Volunteerism, and the Commission on Population Development. We're all attached to NEDA, but we all have independent functions. Bakit po kami attached? For policy formulation. Okay po. So, we also do a lot of research studies. For in-house research, we focus on the Sustainable Development Goals without methodologies for certain indicators. So kami po yung gumagawa. And then we usually invite state universities and colleges if they want to collaborate with us because we have done already the scoping studies of the different SDG goals. So we already know which of the indicators can be localized, but you still have to look for the methodology. Okay? So if you want to collaborate with us, welcome po kayo. And then we also have a lot of research studies that will allow us to achieve the goals of the Philippine Development Plan. Okay, so with that, PSRTI is very open, okay, to collaborating with you because we are also having the function to capacitate all local government units in the community-based monitoring system. And we are actually collaborating with state universities and colleges because we are going to give a training of trainers, okay, so that you can be tapped to do the capacity building for local government units. And with that, thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you very much for listening. God bless everyone.
Now, can I just cite a few of the lessons I think I've captured from her presentation? Of course, just citing the value of collaboration, not necessarily alignment, but that alignment should also have that particular collaboration. And we have seen how data analytics is contributing in saving a lot of money for all the organizations which are present in today's economy. So with that, may we invite again Dr. Almeda and our Senior Vice President for Programs, Ms. Magdalena Mendoza, and Ms. Donna Pamela Gonzalez, our Project Manager, to join us on stage and award the token and certificate of appreciation to our keynote speaker. Once again, thank you, Dr. Almeda. And now, this conference. There will be a question and answer portion after all of our speakers have finished their short presentations.
Yes, and of course, we encourage everyone to take your chance to ask questions later. Now, let us welcome the moderator of the panel discussion. He is currently a resident fellow and officer in charge of the Office of the Academy Registrar at the Development Academy of the Philippines.
Our moderator is a leading security strategist, advising national leaders, multinational companies, and embassies on defense and security issues. He is also a fellow of the College of Defense Studies at the National Defense University in Beijing, China, and the U.S. State Department under the stewardship of the University of Delaware. He won the International Federation for Social Science Organizations International Prize for Social Science Award and the Humanitarian Award from the Rotary Club. Let us welcome Dr. Chester Cabalza.
Are currently enrolled in your university. My eldest son is a graduate of the senior high now. And then, of course, my second child, a daughter, is also taking up her senior high here. So it's nice to see this great university. And of course, let's have more conversations later on. Dr. Almeida, I think that was a gold mine. Really, a very nice presentation. But nonetheless, of course, let's proceed to the main gist of the presentations here, the reactors. For our first speaker is the Vice President for Research Extension and Innovation and a Professor 4 at the Bulacan State University. He also served as the Dean of the university's College of Information and Communications Technology from 2021 to 2024, and the College of Industrial Technology from 2018 to 2021. He is also a graduate school lecturer at BULSU. He is a Microsoft certified professional and a certified Microsoft Office specialist, a Microsoft Technology Associate, and has a national certificate 2 on computer hardware servicing. He has published several researches in journals and is Vice President of Malolos ICT Council. Ladies and gents, let's all welcome Dr. Kino Piad.
Pakibati po natin ng pleasant morning. Okay, para medyo relax muna po yung ating atmosphere at this point. So, by the way, my name is Kino and currently the Vice President for Research, Extension, and Innovation at Bulacan State University. And we're very happy po to be part of this event. And we are very honored po to be part of this DAP's third Philippine Data Analytics Conference. And I could still recall when I was my deanship during way back 2021 CICT, we integrated po the DAP SPARTA courses in our curriculum specific to BSIT with specialization in business analytics. And up to now, at this point, we are still working and doing that particular best practice po in our university. And today po, my presentation will be focusing on the power of the data, no? Utilizing the data analytics in decision making, as well as creating solution for organizations specific for the higher education institution. And I will cover the basic of the data analytics, as well as its benefits po, ano, in higher education based on our experience. And I will be also sharing a few examples of its application of the data analytics, what we do at BULSU to support in terms of our strategic decision making, as well in driving the progress of our institution. So next slide. So we all know that information is undoubtedly a very critical resource in any organization. However, making sense of data, turning insights into what we call actionable decision, gives organization their competitive edge. This is where data analytics becomes crucial. Data analytics, as we all know, it refers to the data collection, transformation, and organization, which enables us to draw conclusions, make predictions, and support decision-making. Implementing a data strategy involves various steps, from data strategy and governance to ensuring the data quality using tools like dashboards and moving into predictive analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Many are confused, no, in terms of data analysis with data analytics, but data analysis is just one part of a more complex data analytics process. Next slide. The educational process involves multiple stakeholders, including, of course, our most important clientele, our students, the faculty members, and administrators. And data analytics helps universities like BULSU understand student behavior, optimize learning, and improve teaching methods, and of course, manage our resources, given HEIs like BULSU have these limited resources. The benefits of data analytics in higher education can be categorized into 4 points. First, we have the student performance and support. Second is the personalized learning. Third is teaching improvement. And of course, the institutional management. By leveraging data, universities can make data-driven decisions to improve our student outcomes and institutional performance. BULSU, with its currently we do have around more than 42,000 students. We do have 6 campuses all over Bulacan. And we're catering more than around 2,000 employees, both non-academic personnel and faculty members. Looking at that figure, we have this vast data to manage in BULSU. In terms of population, I believe we're #1 in Region 3 in terms of our clientele. Our university's operation cover, of course, from instruction to research, extension, and even into commercialization, where performance targets are set annually. So, of course, we do have this the long-term development plan as well as the medium development plan. And with that, data analytics is crucial in terms of monitoring and assessing performance, particularly in research, extension, and innovation, which I'm handling at this point as the Vice President for Research, Extension, and Innovation. For example, as shown in the slide, we regularly monitor each college and campus research publications and extension contributions. These reports are crucial in terms of identifying the areas of strength and areas that need improvement. Interpreting this data becomes much easier with practical data analytics tools, leading to more informed decisions. Data analysis has allowed my team under the REI to strategize effectively by identifying which colleges or campuses are lagging behind when it comes to research and extension contributions. we take targeted actions to address these gaps. For example, I have led caravans across different campuses in Bulsu and different colleges to promote awareness in terms of research and extension program of the university. These caravans allow us to gather feedback from our local administrators and help them understand how their colleges and their campuses performs and impacts the overall standing of Bulsu. These interventions are all based in data insights. Let us take research publication as an example. Our institutional target for this year, 2024, is 48 published papers in Scopus Index journals. As of the second quarter, we already have published more than around 30 of this. And this success is due in part to our proposal to offer publication assistance to our researchers, which was recently approved by our Board of Regents. This slide shows that the proposal approval was primarily due to the supporting data we gathered and presented. It perfectly demonstrates how data-driven insights can influence strategic decisions that propel us forward. Moving on, data analytics also is crucial in terms of our development of our Master Development Roadmap of Bulacan State University, where our aim is to become a smart university by the year 2030. One of the components of this roadmap is the smart governance, which emphasizes data-driven decision-making. By leveraging on data, we tailor educational interventions, monitor performance trends, and continuously improve our student success and at the same time, the institutional efficiency. Moving forward, our aspirations for a smart university are supported by Bulsu's 4 pillars of data governance, which ensure the protection and maximization of our data assets. This governance framework enhances credibility, accountability, and transparency when using data. It also encompasses critical information such as our student data, financial data, and human resources, which are essential for our daily operations and long-term planning. Currently, we have established the Data Management Office recently this January of this year to handle the increasing complexity of our data management. Initially, it's set up to manage accreditation-related data. That is actually the main purpose at the beginning, to lessen the burdens po of the faculty members when it comes to preparation of accreditation. Meron po bang mga taga-SUC po dito? Alam natin how tedious it is, no, in terms of preparation of accreditation specific to AACUP, to ISO, and other relevant accrediting accreditation po natin. And so as I made mention, it's initially set up for that, but eventually the office po, the DMO, expanded to serve as the centralized data repository now of Bulacan State University. The DMO is now finalizing, which is currently also under my office. We are now finalizing its operations manual. Actually, yesterday po, we presented it to our, we did a focus group discussion with the members po ng amin po mga colleges and campuses and other units po ng Bulsu. We presented our manual of operations outlining how this DMO will interact with other units and how it will harmonize data across the university. This unit po will be instrumental in terms of helping us achieve our digital transformation goal in Bulsu. From, of course, from the digitization to digitalization and to the digital transformation part. At this point po, this is currently po the flow chart, but we are currently developing po the data management office data bank system po. At the same time, we are on the initiative po of the proposal of coming up with a data bank management system. Currently po, Bulsu, we do have around 12 regional development center, and one of the center there is the SPEAR Center, which is focused on the information process improvement. And then we do our in-house development po of the system in that specific center. And one of the projects po currently being developed is the data bank management system. This centralized system will integrate all various colleges and campuses' data, transforming how BULSU handles decision-making and in terms of strategic planning. Automating routine tasks will, of course, free time for us to focus more on higher level responsibilities like curriculum development and, of course, the faculty research and extension. A unified data bank is essential for our transformation into becoming a smart university, allowing us to stay agile and proactive in addressing challenges and seizing opportunities. All right? So at this point po, I'd like to thank you guys for your time listening to our presentation. And as I've shared today po, just to summarize everything, data analytics is really a very powerful tool, and we are very happy po with our partnership with DAP, particularly with the DAP SPARTA, in terms of integrating this program in our curriculum since 2021 up to now, and we are very happy po on this partnership that we are doing. And it also show, of course, as I made mention, being a powerful tool, it also influences in terms of how we make decisions, and how we shape the future of our institution. And we must continue embrace this data-driven approach for us to stay competitive, particularly on the higher education institution, and to ensure that our school, like BULSU, will thrive in the coming years. So once again, my name is Dr. Piad, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you today. Pleasant morning po.
Presentation. Now, we see the power of data here as a strategic value, as mentioned by Dr. Almeida this morning. But nonetheless, later on, we will have more thorough discussions on it as we go on the benefits of this data analytics in education. Now, let's proceed to the second speaker. Of course, everyone knows about him. He's the Dean of the School of Information Technology of Mapua University since 2014. Under his deanship, Mapua University became the first higher education institution in the Philippines to offer a Master in Business Analytics program in 2018. He has also strengthened the business analytics specialization of the university's technology-oriented undergrad programs through partnerships and utilization of leading analytics tools in the industry such as Oracle, SAP, SAS, Rapid Miner, Altair, among others. Let's all welcome Dean Ariel Kelly Balan.
All of you in our little home, the Mapua Makati campus. I suggest that if you want to take pictures with our campus, you go to the 4th floor. There's a veranda there that's Instagrammable for all of you. So you can post it. We will highly appreciate it as part of our advertisement. I don't have any presentation, but I would just like to tell a short story. I remember the former president of Mapua University asked me to go to North Carolina to meet Dr. Goodnight of SAS. Okay, so SAS is a very powerful tool during the time for data analytics. My mission order was to develop the curriculum for Masters in Business Analytics. So what Dr. Goodnight did is we partnered with North Carolina State Universities in order to benchmark their Master of Science in Analytics. So with that, we applied in the curriculum of higher education to offer Masters in Business Analytics in probably 2016, almost 10 years ago. Unfortunately, during that time, there was a moratorium in CHED in offering new graduate programs. So, na-delay ng konti, so we were allowed to offer the program in 2018. So, if UAP, University of Asia Pacific, and AIM will contest me if I will personally tell or claim that we were the first one to offer Masters in Business Analytics, because they also offered during that time, UAP offered Masters in Applied Business Analytics, as well as AIM offered Masters of Science in Data Science. I can personally claim that we were the first one because I am the first one who applied in CHED in 2016. Pero kidding aside, that's the story about the Masters in Business Analytics. But how important data analytics is in our institution or in our university. First is in terms of operation. We decided, if I'm not mistaken, when we merged with the Ayala Group, so from the Yuchenko Group of Company merging with Ayala Group, we hired actually the expertise of Ma'am Michelle and her company in order to realize our customer, to determine who really our customer is. So from that, we were able to improve our marketing strategies in terms of having just campaigning in our common feeders of schools by speaking engagement. Now we used personalized advertisement through social media, okay, identifying specific customers or target prospect students. Then second is now in the pipeline, we are now having our data being gathered together in order to predict and determine, okay, in terms of students struggling in their academic performance, so we can provide personal intervention. So one of the dictum of outcomes-based education is that to provide expanded opportunity. So we now try to identify among our students who will be struggling and who will be successful. And of course, for those who will be successful, okay, so they are also given personalized trainings and materials for them in order for them naman to be the one that will do good performance in terms of the board exams. So sa mga board programs namin. Okay. Then, aside from personalized tutoring that was integrated in our learning management system, okay, so we are also now identifying through the help naman of, again, one of the executive director of Analytics Association of the Philippines. We hired under now our payroll, Mr. Sherwin Pelayo, to help us collect our data in terms of the different universities. So, since nag-combine na ang Ayala Group of Companies and the Yuchenko Group of Companies of their education sector, so we have different systems. So we are having difficulty of standardizing the data in order to produce a data-driven decision. So we asked the expertise of Sherwin Pelayo, so of the Analytics Association of the Philippines, in order to do that. So hopefully, in these coming years, we will have now a data-driven decision for all of our schools and universities under the iPeople group. Okay. I think that's it for Mapua, and hopefully you enjoy our institution the whole day today. Thank you.
University, given all these promising curriculum that you have for these projects, no, programs. But nonetheless, the third speaker that we have with us is Ma'am Michelle Alarcon. She is an esteemed analytics practitioner with over 2 decades of experience. She is the president of the Z-Lift Solutions, a pioneering consultancy firm she founded in 2013 that partners with top businesses in the Philippines to craft and implement data strategies, analytics, and AI roadmaps. As a co-founder and president of the Analytics and Artificial Intelligence Association of the Philippines, our speaker is dedicated to fostering a vibrant ecosystem for analytics and AI, working across sectors to be fully capable to harness these technologies. At the same time, promoting responsive and trustworthy AI. Beyond her professional commitments, she is deeply passionate about education and gender diversity. In 2018, she became co-founder and head of learning for the Women Foundation, a nonprofit organization that provides data science training for underprivileged women. She is a part-time lecturer at the Professional Master in Data Science and Analytics program at the University of the Philippines School of Statistics, her alma mater. She is also one of the advisors of the Ayala Corporation's Data Analytics Community of Practice and Ateneo de Manila's University's Business Insights Laboratory for Development. Let's give a round of applause to Ma'am Michelle Alarcon.
Standpoint on analytics, and I was asked to focus on the value of data or the power of data in decision making in creating solutions for organizations. So first of all, AAP is the Analytics and AI Association of the Philippines. If you haven't heard of that association yet, so we're almost 7 years old, and we are a group of practitioners, academicians, and we just banded together 7 years ago to address a very specific gap in the industry. Us as employers, for example, we cannot see it being sustainable that the Philippines can produce enough talent for analytics and AI. And therefore, we took it upon ourselves to get together and do something about it. So that's why we needed to work with a lot of schools, the UANP being one of them. And then eventually, we found DOST as a very good sponsor of our advocacy, and therefore, we became part of the history of Project Sparta. I think that's why I'm also here. And I'm happy to see the progress and that this is continuing under the AP's care. And right now, what we are doing as an association is we work with organizations to make sure that may talent supply na tayo, the schools are already producing, so the organizations need to be ready for you, for the students that we produce. How can an organization be ready? Parang we might ask, marami na silang data dati pa. So isn't that enough? So the answer is no. Right? And today, although I only have 5 minutes to speak about this, I hope that this gives you a high-level view of why we need to make sure that our students, tinuruan natin ng lahat ng expertise natin, coming from our institutions, but ayaw nating masayang, when they go to the employers or when they go work for organizations. We need to also inform our students of what they may expect and how they can also help organizations to make the best use out of the data that organizations are collecting. Okay, so I'm supposed to point there. Yeah, okay. And this is how stakeholders in companies just expect you to do. I have data, ikaw na bahala. Just give me value out of that. Right? This is really a layman's perspective, not just necessarily business executives. And people hear about data, and then there's data is the new oil, data is very powerful. But we need to actually break that down, that process. How does it actually give value to organizations? Right? So maybe you have seen this chart before, but just to reiterate, analytics doesn't happen just because you have data scientists, you have data analysts. It starts with data as the raw ingredient, and you need to also make sure that the questions that you are asking or the problems that you're trying to solve are very clear. Right? If someone says, let's say your future employer, the future employer of your students will ask for, let's say, a very good sales forecast, and the data that you have that's available to you are before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, just 2023 onwards. So pwede na ba yun? Just give me a very good sales forecast because I need to get to the pre-pandemic levels, for example, for my sales. So how are you going to sift through all the data? How are you going to qualify that if you don't even you don't even trust the data that you have collected in the past, right? So the ones below, kaya may section siya, that's information that you need to rely on to be able to derive insights. So yung questions at the top are the ones that give you insights. So creating a forecast, for example, what may happen next, applying predictive analytics, you cannot build on top of information you don't know, right? Or you don't trust. So there may be data, and by the way, this data doesn't need to be necessarily the ones being collected by the organization. It can be outside, it can be your competitors' data. So all that's available to you, make best use out of that, but make sure that you can you have a way to validate it and trust it before you can derive these insights and produce the value for them, for the stakeholders. Now, aside from that, I just, this is my favorite, and I like that Dr. Imelda, who was our keynote speaker, also referred to Peter Drucker, although thankfully, she didn't use the same quote. No? Kasi otherwise, sawa na kayo. But Peter Drucker is a management consultant who I really, really adore, although, of course, his background is really on accounting, right? And from there, we know of the practice that has evolved to management consultancy, and this is so true up to today. No, he is. I'm sure this is. You took up analytics courses or data-related courses, and you've heard of this quote. But meron akong konting variation, and this is my original. So, I just. Saan na? Anticlimactic. Ayan. Yan lang ang aking variation. Okay. Because now, you can measure anything. You can even measure sentiment. Right? Before, hindi. Kasi dati talagang kailangan quantifiable, no? So, now you can measure anything in the world. You can, especially with AI, with LLMs. You can get something out of a measure out of anything, right? But organizations don't necessarily care for all those that they can measure, or they don't even bother to really sift through all that and curate. Now, what is important to me? What is relevant to my business? So therefore, you cannot manage that. Right? But what is measuring? What is that exercise of measuring? It's not just collecting data. So you're just counting stuff, right? Or you are just putting a number to something that you think is important. So what is a measure? So in the perspective of an organization, especially commercial organizations, you need good quality data. You need context of how that data was produced or collected, filtered, analyzed, tagged, and so on. And you need good, well-defined rules on how that data needs to be interpreted. Altogether, they create a measure. And from your measure, hindi pa natatapos yun, no? That's not enough. From the measure, you derive metrics. Magkaiba siya, no? Measure and then metrics. Are you just counting sheep, which is a measure? It could be a count. But what is the metric? Maybe how much is being produced, or paano tayo napunta sa sheep, no? How much volume of milk, or no, hindi pala, sheep, lamb, or clothing or fabric, maybe yun yung gusto mong mas importanteng i-track, no? So you derive a metric out of that, and then you get insights. So from the insights and from these metrics, which are now more closely related to what you really want to track, you define your targets. So you set first a baseline. If you haven't seen this metric even before, you haven't used it, you set a baseline metric, and then that's where you base all the moving forward targets every month, every week, every year, and so on. Right. So then you make that decision making now that's data driven. So we just spelled out how you really need to do it, no? In the organization, in the private sector, you do that for everything that will matter to the business. You do that for HR, you do that for sales, for finance, for operations, and so on, right? So you need to really love data to be a data analyst, because diba, outside of this room, you think, anyone in the street will want to do this as a job, right? It's very, very specific. And it's not like geeky job, diba? I don't think we're geeks, right? Right? We're not. But you really have to love measuring. You really love counting sheep. Yan na naman ako, no? Natulog na lang tayo, nag-count na lang ng sheep. But this is really not just the boring statistics that maybe you have an impression of if you're not a stat major, but this is really very, very rich, no, when you know how to use it. So imagine a company that does this properly, and I love the example from Bulsu, because that's exactly what we need for all this. Well, maybe different schools have other ways to do it, but I really like that that's being done actually in an academic institution. So measuring and knowing what to measure, how to measure it, that's very important. But then how does that turn into value? That's a totally different thing. And for those who have taken at least the original content, no, getting started, getting grounded on analytics, I still remember, of Project Sparta, the data value chain. This is an expanded view of the data value chain, and this is what I always use in introduction to analytics, no, for businesses, because this is the non-technical part, no, and it also highlights. This is from Open Data Watch. There's a very good discussion on each of these segments, but there's literally the chain, a series of steps to follow or serve as a guide for you to turn data that you collect to impact. And then it needs to loop back, no? Para the result, did you get the impact that you desire? Ibabalik mo din yan. Right? Babalik mo din yan as new observations. Now, I won't discuss this, no, the whole thing, but the 4 major segments, so data collection, everyone knows how to do that, or what that's about. Publication, medyo weird, no? Because the term that they use is publication. But this is including analysis, from analysis to distributing the insights. That's part of the publication step. So it's sharing that insight and information with others. But what we don't really hear about are the last 2 segments. Uptake and impact. Impact, we kind of know. Ito na yung resulta. But uptake is what is always missing. In fact, if you look at it, connect, incentivize, influence. I don't do that as a data analyst. Am I supposed to do that? So let's say you released the dashboard or the model, you deployed the model. Tapos na yung trabaho natin. Diba? Tapos na. Hindi ko sasabihin, hindi ko yan ipupush na. Trabaho niyo po yan after. But what happens is, that's the crucial thing actually, to make sure that what you did as analysts and data scientists, that they will matter. Kasi kapag walang nakinig, no one picked it up. Imagine a journalist who's looking through different press releases, and this is sabi niya, uy, ito interesting. Ito yung ilalabas ko. This is what I'm going to write about. Imagine that. So that is uptake. I need to be compelled to use your insights and then socialize it. Socialize it to, let's say, to Mancom or Excom or your group of leaders in the organization. And then that person needs to influence the decision maker. The decision maker is then the one that actually uses the insight, makes the change. Remember, makes the change. Otherwise, ano yung binigay mo kung wala namang mangyari? Status quo lang. So, someone has to make the change to create the impact that we desire. So, that uptake part, yes, it is not the technical part. That's not data science. But that is why maybe it is something that we all need to think about in our curriculum. How do we teach data people to actually communicate and be influencers? Yun lang pala, no? Mali yata yung message ko, baka iba yung ma-encourage ko na path para sa kanila. But this is really where rubber hits the road, right? Gagamitin na nila yan. So you need to reach the person who has the influence to make the change. Okay, so that is how we need to think of the power of data. It doesn't stop here. It has to reach so many more steps. In fact, sa timeline,
baka matagal pa yan. Is it worth it? It's up to you. But you need to define the impact very clearly so that you convince a larger group of people that this is worth doing. It's not just you who's interested in doing this very cool data science project, but everyone has to get buy-in on the impact that you want. Right? And so with that, and I hope to also hear your thoughts around trying to create impact with data. But at the end of the day, we have to have a different mindset in solving problems. And that's always a good starting pitch with your stakeholders, that if we just let it happen, just status quo, then we get the same results. So we have to think of a different way, and together, lahat tayo, we advocate for data-driven decision-making. Thank you.
About that. Okay, let's proceed to the last presenter. Okay. Sorry, I've been taking notes. I hope you are also doing the same thing, right? I'm learning much. Okay, the last speaker is the current head of reporting and analytics and business technologies of Shopee Philippines, where she handles a team of 50 people divided into the two sub-teams. Prior to this, she was the general manager of Atom Philippines and previous head of business intelligence and strategy of True Money Philippines. She was also the managing director of Ascend E-commerce Philippines Incorporated and the head of BI and financial planning and analysis of Zalor Philippines. She graduated with a Master of Science in International Management with merit degree from the University of Liverpool. Let's all welcome Ma'am Maria Charmaine Celine Cruz.
Hopefully, I also entertain. I guess I'm the token company for today to show you what it is to be on the side of the private sector, right? And I really appreciate, what's been shared today afterwards, like how data analytics impacts like various industries, how you have to think about it. On my side, maybe we'll delve more into that. But before I go into it, I also have to introduce my company. It is part. In case you're not familiar with Shopee. Okay, so okay na po ba? Okay naman po. Mabubuhay ako kahit walang slide. So Shopee Philippines isn't like a singular entity here. We are in several countries. So Taiwan, Indonesia, Thailand, overall 6 countries in Southeast Asia. I hope you're also well aware that we're practically #1 in all of the countries. We are very well known for our impact on the e-commerce industry. But aside from the e-commerce industry, I'm sure you're also well aware of the other businesses that we delved into, which is fintech industry. So we have C-Money. I'm sure you utilize Shopee Pay Later. C-Bank, there's also that. And then, of course, we also dipped our toes into the logistics arm, which is Shopee Express. So I hope you've been experiencing next day delivery these days. We've definitely improved that this year. So that is for Shopee. Hopefully you're all users. Sometimes marinig ko na may Shopee and it's like pride and joy. Okay. All right. So for me, just to again give more context, I handle the under the BI team of Shopee. We actually have 4 subsets. We have financial planning and analysis, FP&A. We have strategy and projects, and then the 2 teams that I handle, which are reporting and analytics and business technologies. If we did have the slide, you'll be seeing it in table form, but I think it's also okay to explain it to you. So these two teams I handle basically wrangle all of the data in Shopee, and I would want to emphasize that we're super privileged to have the amount of data that we touch on in Shopee. Hundreds of schemas, thousands of tables. In a day, you have millions of orders, right? But then you're looking at data sets that you want to span months, days, of course. You have years that you want to look on. And that's where my reporting and analytics lies. They pull up the raw data, they can create the dashboards for it. We create single sources of truth for the local side in the Philippines. Now, on the business technology side, this is where my automation, web dev side, we don't touch the app itself, but we do touch on local fixes. Like, even though Shopee could practically be one of the most tech savvy, we're most ahead in those kinds of things, we still have a lot of manual stuff on the ground. Sabihin natin on the customer service side, everything comes through in your app, your complaints, on the emails, your complaints. Sabihin na natin happy kayo na lang, parang hindi complaints. All of that comes in. Yes, we could pull it out, but then maybe there's like a certain program you want to run, right? Not everything on the product side, and this is what we mean by the app or by the projects that we're running, not everything can appear immediately on those sides because those take development time. So to be able to catch up to the product, you have manual workarounds. And that's what our business development team does. Oh, thank you. We actually have the slide now. Okay. Reverse lang muna, backwards. So Shopee, can we go, next slide please. Comes from C Limited. So C Limited is a Singaporean company. So that's why our footprint really is in Southeast Asia. Next slide po. Yan po yung mga bansa na kung nasan kami ngayon. Not mentioned here is Brazil, our current LATAM country. Next slide po. And we're obviously one of the most well-known brands here in Southeast Asia, but also globally, actually. Next slide po. So what's distinct about Shopee as a company and the way we work is, despite us being multinational, we're very hyper-local. That does differentiate us in terms of Southeast Asia as a market. Each country is very, very different. The way you would handle Indonesia and Philippines, in terms of context, kahit we're island nations, right? But iba pa rin eh. It's very, very different. And the Vietnam, for example, also, it's like, because it's so peninsular, it's so vertical like that, iba rin yung pagka-deliver niya. So the logistic systems are also different there. So hyper-localization is very, very important. Hindi po siya parang top-down mandate na ito yung gagawin natin sa lahat. May difference po yun. Digital inclusion, we address underserved needs. So that's why we participate in digital economy. We want to be able to reach out to the rural communities. User centricity, I hope you feel that we're also very, very concerned about like how we impact you as a user side. So if you use the app, parang minsan makikita nyo, ay bago yung itsura niya ngayon. That's because like parang from our experience, baka kailangan namin tinitweak siya to be able to be more accepting. Lumitaw na siguro sa inyo si live stream, si Shopee video. That's also because like we see na parang that's where the trends are going, right? Digital skills development. So I think this is quite apt for this discussion. We promote learning and development for employees. So upskilling for the new digital economy. So I guess, again, very apt. Next slide, please. So I think we went through this. This is my background. I've been working in the analytics sphere for some time already. Obviously, before the concept of what is data analytics existed, so we all went into our different sides. I think emphasis here is that there was no course for something like this. People came from business background, came from accounting, from finance, you came from statistics, of course. But at the end of the day, you're going to be working with the data of the company, and that's what you're going to be analyzing. Right? You have this different expertise though, like some people at this point in time, we're looking for people who definitely need to know how to do SQL pull data. We also value people who have Python experience because we do a bit of coding, data science, yan, kailangan din po yun. Okay, so move forward lang po tayo. Next slide. So, Shopee BI, basically, these are the 4 teams. What we all have in common is we handle valuable data for the company and impact key business decisions, whether through data extraction, transformation, data scraping, analytics, strategic planning, project management, and so on. So we get answers for the business, we support them. Instead of using best guesses, stakeholders are able to base decisions on what their business data is telling them. Next slide, please. So here are the 2 teams that I handle, and I think this is like where I can give more context. So the reporting and analytics team is really looking into the data itself. We pull the information. Sinabi sa atin, like parang, I'm trying to look at the customer numbers from last year. Okay. Again, there's no magic table where customer source is clean. So you have to be able to pull that from different spaces. But the requests are never that simple, right? And because they're never that simple, you need expertise from people from my RNA department. And we create what we call data marts, single sources of truth, because other people want to access that data. So that is, I think, something that's unique about Shopee. We democratize the data that we have. In other industries, it could be like data is very well kept, like tight-fisted. We're tight-fisted on private information of individuals, but market information, let's say the number of orders and everything, as much as possible, we want to give access to that to the different business functions. So this is why training up the different business units is also very important for us so that they can independently do what they need, right? So here in my team, we have a single version of truth also, kasi kahit sabihin natin customer data yan, you have to be very specific. Do you want all customers, including fraudulent customers? Do you want customers na excluding yung fraud, excluding like this and that, and so on, right? So there are specifics for each of these. Now, we maintain the main reports of Shopee. We ensure that they're consistent all around because everybody has a different department, but they need to be able to refer to something. My department handles commercial business development, commercial marketing, non-e-commerce, general operations, and logistics operations. So we touch on every point in Shopee. And this is why we are in charge of creating the single source of truth, because if you are in marketing, you may have a different view of what is orders. Why do I say this? Baka kay marketing, orders come from 12 midnight hanggang 11:59 same day. Kay logistics, they care about delivery of orders. So iba yung nilitaw dun, right? Kami ang in charge sa pagbabangga ng mga bagay. And that is the value of my RNA team. Next slide, please. For business technologies, so it's not enough that you have data, but you also have to have solutions for these kinds of things. So this is where Ms. Michelle actually mentioned na parang yung impact of your work, right? When you're only providing the data, that is actually usually the problem that data teams kind of encounter. As number crunchers, you don't get credit for the work that you do. You're always there to provide the information, but you're never actually shared what actually happened to it, right? Or like parang, thank you to the team for getting this done through and through. And that's because sometimes the people of analytics team have this sense of hanggang dito lang yung gagawin ko. And that is very much the wrong mindset. And that's what I try to teach my team. End-to-end tayo. You look at things on a project level, and this is why we have the business technologies team also. When the problem is because on the ground, pangit yung data, inefficient yung system. Let's come in and solve that problem so you have the data in the system and we can utilize that, right? And then end-to-end, right? Pag na-solve mo na yung data problem, you get the numbers, you also recommend solutions for like, what is the actual problem you're trying to solve? Because if you don't know the problem, walang makikinig sa'yo for your solution, right? There's no solution if there's no problem. And there are problems everywhere, okay? So here in my business technologies team, we have project management, of course, since maraming project, front-end development, back-end development. We create a few web portals, back-end development, we have the automations, and then the data science. So of course, like with the amount of data that we have, we can now go into predictive information. And as always with data science, it's like, you know, it's the amount of information that you put in, and then it's the type of information. So it's not that easy because you're still very, very picky, right? So here with business technologies, they work very closely hand in hand with my reporting and analytics team to solve the major problems that are encountering in the different departments of Shopee. Okay, so I think I did cover, I guess, the topic naman, the power of data, utilizing data analytics in decision making, I hope. For Shopee itself, it is a very data-obsessed company. I could say that with the people that we've recruited from different, like who've transferred to us from other companies, they do say that the environment is really different because of the obsessiveness with data. Like, medyo hindi gumagalaw yung mga tao pag walang data point na nangyayari. So, it's really less on the, ito yung feelings ko, right? Nagagalaw. But I think that also, I just, word of warning, it also gets into like analysis paralysis. So this is why I feel like important rin yung role ni data analytics, because you have to steer people to the right way. Otherwise, they're just drowning in the amount of information that you're providing. And at the end of the day, this is always how I feel about it. BI is a nice to have. Like business intelligence is a nice to have. A company would survive without a BI department, but it will not thrive, right? And if you don't get the BI department functioning well, you're probably just going to be like, baka hanggang next year ka na lang, or, you know, hanggang dun lang. You don't get to a point of being like number one in the industry if you don't respect the people who can help you make the proper decisions. Okay? So, in this case, I hope it's been clear what we do for the company. And I suppose like I've really sold my company now, but I hope, yeah. Okay, so there. I think that should be enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you. About it now. Let's proceed to the open forum. I received lots of questions. I hope that you will also ask questions. So we ask all our reactors to please proceed in front these seats as we try to grill them. Okay. All right. Dr. Kino, Dean Ariel, Miss Michelle, and Miss Charmaine. Okay. Please proceed in front. From the public, private institutions, and you have projections about data analytics. But sometimes they say that data can be manipulated. And of course, everything that we do, we see data. They're like stars that we can see everywhere. Before we wake up or before we sleep, we see all data, right? Because we, of course, use our laptops, cell phones, everywhere we see this data. So what would be the interventions given these ethical considerations when it comes to data analytics that, of course, it can be manipulated or hacked or what? So from the private, from the public sector first, knowing that, of course, you have data protection now, and then FOI, freedom of information. So how do we reconcile all of this?
First, sound check. First and foremost, as an academic institution, data integrity is really very important. So part of that, as made mention by Sir Currently, we do have this non-disclosure agreements specific to our the departments who handle the data, and at the same time, we also foster as part of that is we do different trainings for our employees who particularly handle the data, and part of also that we do is aside from capacitating them is also to establish po like what we are currently doing now is a specific system as we do the automation so that we will be able to have these audit trails in our system. Thank you.
Okay, Ma'am Michelle, you presented that wave, very sophisticated in such a way. We are now in the fifth industrial revolution. And of course, data analytics is, of course, is a sexy word. Everyone is talking about it. What is our projection now, and how do we use it, given the useful impact of this to society?
If we're asking about the trends as to how maybe data can be more leveraged or be more impactful, we have seen that the evolution of technology, not just for data analysis, data visualization, data engineering, it has allowed us to actually come up with algorithms that we know now as ChatGPT, large language models. So if we're looking at trends in data and what else you can do with data as data scientists, we should not see AI and generative AI in particular as something that is ano ba, not our scope, so to speak. It's not a different animal altogether. It is an animal in that sense. But we are still so involved in making sure that these types of technologies are used well. The data that it uses, especially that you may already know that there are ways to actually contextualize the results of the large language models based on the organization or whatever you're working with. No, so you don't need to just rely on the data that it brings with it, right? Which is public data, which is a black box and you don't know where it's sourced from. So relating it to the first question, how can you make sure that that is ethical? I think the trend, quote unquote, these days is for us to be open to this new practice in data, which is you always hear about responsible and ethical use of data, and this is what we need, and so on. We have data governance as a practice. When we introduce the data steward path in Project Sparta, so that's the beginnings. But data stewardship is just part of data governance. So that is going to be more emphasized in the AI era or the Gen AI era. So if you can consider also including that in the curriculum, we would definitely, really in the private sector, among private organizations, that will really be needed. More practitioners in the data governance space. There's also a new sort of science even that's called AI safety. And AI safety is more like an umbrella term for anything that is still the science side, no? Hindi siya very subjective, but there has to be science, and other countries have started to form AI safety institutes that are studying how we can actually check the validity and safety in general of the outputs of the AI models. So if you're interested in actually including AI, generative AI in your curriculum, please also consider putting AI safety as part of that. Not just responsible and ethical use, but AI safety in general. So we can share more information about that in our meetup at the AEP. So may shameless plug na rin ako. If you're not yet a member, so Bulsu and Mapua are members already. And this is where we discuss, no, as practitioners and future practitioners, yung students po natin and faculty. This is where we come up with very practical ways on how this may be implemented, because it can't just be the government or any regulations or policies saying that hindi ka pwedeng gumamit ng AI. But it has to come from us That's why we formed the association. It has to come from us on how this is practical to implement, but at the same time, it encourages innovation.
Yeah, that's a very good and gentle reminder, especially that our audience here are zillennials and coming from alpha generation who are natives of artificial intelligence. And of course, we know that there are different colors, no, be it gray, white, hackers, ethical consideration would be very important. Miss Charmaine, the open field is wide and open. Shopee is number one in Southeast Asia. There's a counterpart in the West, and they are competing. So, what are the trends that we are seeing? Do we see fusion here or more competition? What do you see here?
I think from right now, definitely everybody's seeing more intense competition, especially as let's just name the competitors, right? So here locally we have Lazada, we have TikTok. Across the pond we have like China, we have Alibaba, Taobao, Pinduoduo, and then on U.S. side you have Amazon, of course. Like we are all monoliths of the industry, and yet people still want to have more, right? So I think the trend is they really will go forward, right? Recently, I think C Group just had a partnership with YouTube right now, so that we would have more access, I think, to videos and stuff. So it's really dependent on what are the trends that are coming in, and then the various competitors are becoming just more creative about utilizing these trends, right? The problem is, of course, like if you fall behind these things, right? TikTok, who could have known that it's going to be like such a big thing with industry. I am not a user. Hindi ko siya gets. I don't see the attraction. But obviously, with the younger generation, it's there, right? And you have to understand, like parang, okay, kung yun yung attractive sa market, you have to keep up and understand, right? So there will always be intense competition because I feel like people will always be creative about these kinds of things.
Until such a time, some of them will create new apps, right? And will change everything there. But of course, this generation is very audiovisual. No, they wanted to see and watch it, listen also to that.
Pag
No?
umabot tayo sa point na may holograms.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, Dean Ariel, Mapua is a game changer. No, you set the bar, and then everyone followed you. You mentioned the names of the schools earlier, but how do we, of course, it's a gold mine right now, and of course, this is a game changer, data analytics. How do we see the fusion of public and private institutions, higher learning institutions, to foster a good standard on how to create this web of learning?
Actually, that's a good point. As of now, we still believe in the continuous quality improvement. So we keep on reviewing the curriculum that we offer. And since the release of the Philippine Skills Framework in parallel with the Philippines Quality Framework, so with that, we now try to align the curricula in partnership also with other HEIs. So recently in Pampanga, there's the Tour de Tech with the CHED, Commission on Higher Education, and the IBPAP and the other industries. So all of these are now collaborating with each other in order to improve errors, make the bar higher, as what you have mentioned.
Okay, now I told you I have lots of questions here, but I want to listen to those who are in the audience. So I'll give the priority to all of you first before we read these questions, okay? Anyone, please, don't be shy. Please come forward, introduce your name, and ask the questions. Okay, go ahead, please. Hiya pa? O, mamaya uli? Okay. Or are we getting some Shopee prices from Shopee first? Okay, let me read the first question here from the chat box. Now, in your experience, are there any particular data analytics techniques or models developed in academia that have had a profound impact on industry practices? Maybe from our academics here. Anyone from you, please?
Our Masters in Business Analytics program, the terminal requirement is a practicum wherein we send our students to the companies solving real industry problems. The initial plan during that time was with the Yuchenko group of companies, sharing the. I hope my boss are not around. So, but we encountered really problems during the time because of the data sharing, data privacy law. So we shifted that to, instead of a practicum, is to capstone project. But to answer the question, what particular models or that has been utilized? So in one of the companies that the deploy yung aming student uses this what we call yung sentiment analysis in terms of their comments and sa Facebook for particular
social media
sa
talaga.
social media. So they can already easily identify what particular ATM. So it's a bank. So ATM na kung saan nagkakaroon ng problem. So they can easily provide the support and solution to that problem. So yun, yung sentiment analysis based on the...
Okay. From the Bulsu.
One of the core pillars that we do at this point, no, is particularly in terms of collaboration and partnership. We have this current partner po in Singapore, the Sustec Asia, and currently po with under my office, we are now into discussion on coming up with a platform which will be more on the tracing on the carbon footprints. Since our goal in the university is by this specific year, I believe it's like 2030 also, is Bulso will become a carbon neutral university as much as possible as we can. So now we're into this partnership, and actually one of our alumni is now working also in that specific company, and it's more also doing on some analytics part also. And so we really do invest po talaga in terms of partnership and collaboration. That's what we also did with DAP SPARTA, and we are very happy po talaga on the output of this program na yung mga real, yung mga specific training po, and we integrated it in our curriculum since way back, as I made mention, 2021 if not mistaken, or 2022. Up to now, it's moving po, and we are integrating it in our capstone projects of our students. And now po, in general po, in the perspective na po of the administration nga po, we come up now with a specific center, which is the Spear Center, wherein ngayon po ang goal na po is basically to come up with this data bank for Bulacan State University, and together with our information system process improvement, working together po. And of course, the end product will be more of an intelligent dashboard for our executive committee. And I'm just very fortunate, probably because I'm also in the executive part, looking at the value chain that Miss Michelle have shown, how yung influence po talaga, ano, na after this is what the model is all about. This is the output, but how you will be able to realize those output and really implement it and become eventually a policy. So like what we did po on the research part, we have seen the data for the past 5 years of Bulso when it comes to publications, for example. And then after that, we have analyzed that. So nagkaroon po kami, what we did is to craft this recommendation for the top level management specific to our board. And we are very fortunate that because it was been approved, now we do have, aside from the financial assistance that we receive from the research publication, part of the manual po that we have recently approved is all publication less than 50,000 will be covered by the university. So this is because of the data-driven approach that we did, and as we analyze the data of the university. Those just one part of the output that we have done. Thank you.
Very good, very good. Okay, questions from the audience? Please, please. Go ahead, sir.
Then ako from BSU. And also, I'm currently working as a senior marketing analyst at Elsevier. So, question ko po siguro from someone from working from the government intended. So, this is one of the problem I encountered nung namimili pa lang ako ng topic for our capstone. So, I try to find data siguro dun sa government data sa FOI. And I still see na medyo marami pa ring unavailable data from a lot of government agencies. And I think hindrance siya sa, I mean, most of the researchers na need ng specific data. So how can you like bridge the gap between like the research interests of the students and the availability of data? Thank you po.
Patama ata sa but anyway, maybe we have Ma'am Dedeng here and Miss Pam from Sparta. But I guess I'm the designated data privacy officer of the AP, and I think that is something that we have to look at also. No, given that you have the data privacy and the FOI, how do we reconcile it? No, whereas you are asking the public to expose all the information, but on the other hand, there are also restrictions. So you see the contrary to that kind of laws that we have there. But ultimately, we are still crafting the guidelines on how to basically do the privacy content of our data, but at the same time, what to offer it to the public. Say, for example, a good example was the SALN, which was published in our website. But at the same time, because of the sensitivity of the data, we have to delete it from our website. So that's just one of the examples there. But nonetheless, there are required data that should be on public domain, but at the same time, there should be private data that should be only consumed by the company or the institution or organization. So, Ma'am, would you want to, Miss Ma'am, would you want to answer that? All right. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope we have a clear delineation on. Ma'am Michelle, yeah,
can
please.
I add? Yes. So, thank you po. Na from the perspective of the researchers, kailangan po natin marinig yan at ma-escalate yung need natin for data. We have been, at the AAP, we've been advocating for open data, hindi yung for the sake na meron tayong portal and you can request for data that eventually you will get as a PDF, no, or as an image. So, hindi po yun data per se that you can analyze. Although ChatGPT can ingest it, yes. But anyway, so ang kailangan po din natin, so at the AEP, we are working with the DICT, we're working with the DTI and the DOST, and of course the AP, no. Kailangan po ng very strong, compelling position from researchers' side, not just academicians, even students need this kind of sandbox event, no. So if actually I've also raised that 2 years ago to the PSA kasi marami silang data. There was this conference and si Dr. Emelda was there, and medyo na put on the spot natin si National Statistician kasi sabi ko na paano po pwedeng i-share yan, public data naman yan, right? So what they do is they put it in their own database, right? And then baka kailangan lang ng access to that, or at least, syempre may data governance, may DPO, and all that stuff. So 2 years ago, they shared that they're building a data enclave, and I think DAP was also involved in coming up with a consolidated database that can be used for research. So we'll just follow up on how that goes, because we also offered our services, no, yung tapping into the experts ng analytics and AI from the AAP side. So that was an offer that we gave to the PSA para mapabilis yung pag-build nito. Kasi syempre sa government, we're not expecting naman that they have a lot of these people who can work on a big project, because it will be a big project, right? So you want data from on traffic, do you want data on DOH, on health data? So it also, I mean, to be fair, it will be hard to prioritize and identify which ones ang mas makakatulong, no, to be available to all the researchers. So we can't just expect government agencies to think na, okay, siguro ito yung kailangan nila. So that's why I'm encouraging everyone to actually make that petition proper para alam nila kung ano yung mas kailangan. So we understand that at the academic institutions, especially for private organizations, you can build your own labs. I think it was mentioned earlier that I'm an advisor to the Ateneo Analytics Lab. No, they may have obviously the money to put up something like that. But for other schools, now we also encourage the students to not just come up with ano lang yung pwede kong gawin with the data that's available through FOI, 'di ba? So ilalagay natin doon sa sandbox ninyo. And that's something that maybe the DICT can provide or maybe the DOST para doon tayo, yun yung lab nating lahat. No? That's also more inclusive for other schools. Yes, please.
I just want to add also, currently po part of the initiative of BULSU specific to our research management office, we come up with this data common. We put up a server wherein now we are encouraging our students, the undergrad and even in the grad school and even faculty researchers now to share their data with this data common that we have at this point, so that they could eventually play the data around. And for the meantime, that's the initiative. But we're trying to look what will happen after we have this data common now. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, for sure. It has to evolve and it's a work in progress and we are all part of it. Okay? Other questions from the audience, please? Sige na, don't be shy. Please. Okay.
Is addressed to Ms. Charmaine po from Shopee. So, ma'am, you've mentioned po having a data mart acting like a data warehouse where it provides single truth that is accessible to different departments in Shopee. I'd like to ask po na that is the BI department also responsible for its management, considering that business intelligence and data warehousing use different technologies? And if there's already a separate department for this, do you think it would speed up or slow down the processing? Thank you po.
Okay, so you have all of the data that goes there. It's managed by the infra team, and then we have the data engineering team from Singapore and Shenzhen. So they're the ones who create those massive schemas that we have with everything. So we have like a traffic mart, every touch point that you put. Ganun kami ka-obsessive, right? Your orders, every layer of the order, kung nasan siya, ganun din. Now, on the local side, of course, we have like the Philippine data that comes to us. But even then, because everything is separated into different locations, it comes to my BI department to be responsible for aggregating all of these things together, so that nobody has like weird numbers on their side, right? Because we are responsible for putting those numbers together. Yes, we are responsible for it. We have the data governance for that particular information. And we don't have to warehouse that information because it's already warehoused in the system. What we're trying to do is to create single tables for people to use. So, kung kailangan natin ng Shopee and Shopee Pay data, kami in charge doon kasi magkahiwalay sila completely. So, there. That's the responsibility. That's part and parcel of the BI department's work.
But maybe a continuation with that. How do you secure the safety and security of the identity of your customers?
All of those are in hashed information. We have very, very stringent data sensitivity guidelines. Everything that is personal information as a customer name is in a different schema that only my team can access. So, medyo, we're quite anal about the responsibility of the BI team when it comes to private information. While, of course, because you've democratized the data. You can't really expect everybody to have the same sense of responsibility. So we do limit the type of information that they get. So you can get, let's say, Miss Michelle's address, but you don't get her name. Right? Because you need her address to consolidate, let's say, saan kami magagawa na bagong hub? That kind of thing. So that's the kind of information that you would need. Why would you need individual people's information, which is the one that you should never ever touch on? So,
I agree with you because that happens also with many fast food chains, right? They get your name, your address, your contact number, so everything you divulge there. If I'm a hacker,
Yeah.
I can easily hack it, right?
Yes. So all of those we've purged from the public schemas that we have. So they're kind of under lockdown.
Okay. All right. So let's be aware of this situation. Other more questions? Before I'm gonna read a few questions here, or let's do alternate. Okay. So I'll ask question from here. What are the key academic frameworks in data analytics that can be applied to address challenges in Philippine industry? I think it goes to all of you. It says here, what are the key academic frameworks in data analytics that can be applied to address challenges in Philippine industry?
Ma'am Michelle?
Kasi industry practice.
Masyado pong malawak yung tanong natin. So, let's just say that in analytics, so there are many techniques, there are many frameworks that you study. If you were to prioritize, maybe that's the question. If the person who asked is a student and gusto niyan targetin no specific industries, ano lang yung kailangan kong malaman, yung essentials, para I get to apply them right away in a specific industry. Kasi there are really many. So for example, for Shopee, recommendation engine, right? So how to build a recommendation engine, or maybe how to even create product association, market basket analysis. So that's that's commonly used in the retail space. Even fast food, you can apply certain techniques like that. What are usually purchased together, ordered together at certain times of day, and so on. No? So pwede mo namang focusan na aralin yon. What is the science behind that? How was that actually invented? No, yung history non. Hindi yung or there's this package and then I will apply that. No? So, tinuturo natin naman yan sa project, sa Sparta. Right? If you were to target, let's say, kanina, there was an example on, I think it was fraudulent transactions. So, anything related to fraud analytics. So, there's also a set of techniques and frameworks. So, when we separate the term techniques or algorithms versus the frameworks. So, hindi ko lang matansya kung ano yung tanong niya. But the techniques are the ones that you learn, no, as a data scientist. What are these packages that are necessary? Ano yung formula, or how do I handle, or how do I transform the data? So, those are part of the techniques. When we talk about the frameworks or the approaches, no, to solving problems, so that could be the series of techniques that you need to apply. And that will be different industry per industry. So on what we shared earlier, na when you're creating metrics, or when you are defining or identifying the relevant measures, it's all based on the context, and that context is depending on the industry or the nature of business. So for Shopee, yung ina-apply nila na recommendation engine, yan din ba yung parehong recommendation engine sa Netflix? Sabihin natin, si Netflix is not retail, it's not selling me anything. So you'd think na iba sila, no? But at the foundation level of how that recommendation engine, the algorithm itself, the technique in this case, is the same. Kasi they're treated as products, 'di ba? Yung SKU ni Shopee versus the movie ID, or I don't know, anong tawag, episode ID, parang produkto din siya. So, you will be able to use that same technique. However, the frameworks will be different. The approaches will be different. So, sa kanila, iba yung pag-atake, let's say, yung recommendation sa akin is iba sa recommendation kay Dean. No? Even if we're looking at the same product, pero iba yung binili niya before. iba din yung binili ko before. Although gumagamit ng shopping account ko ay yung mga anak ko, hindi ako. So iba yung history ko, di ba? So baka magpareho sila. So it's that framework or approach, no? And if you're in the Netflix side, iba din, no? So maybe it's also the same customer profiling before and so on and so forth, but it takes into account a lot of things like the real timeness of, let's say, it's even able to suggest to you what then yung top 3 na recommendations sa inyo, nakita niyo na ba yung feature niyan? When you finish an episode, for example, ang bilis niyang mag-recommend, di ba? Yung top 3 agad. So, paano niya yun na-run or paano niya na-process right away? So, that's part of the framework, right? So, it involves a data engineering aspect and the deployment aspect, no, which is how it's going to get to you. So, yeah, so I want to just siguro give that high-level answer to the question. But that's also what makes analytics very, very exciting. There's so much to learn. For every industry that you work at or you apply analytics to, iba. And that allows you to see so much more room for learning and growth. So yun lang yung final pitch ko na sana you stay in this track kasi we need more of you in the industry.
Right. Questions from the audience? Okay, please.
The reality is that we still have a shortage of qualified professionals to meet the global standards. I mean, this is in perspective that we have so many openings, but we have only few qualified candidates, to the point that we also need to touch other regional hubs from Asia because we don't have talent in Philippines.
How do you reconcile that? There's a question of the lack of talents or students, and then there are public offerings about data analytics, and then you have competing industries and universities offering about that. So those are the complexity of the question there.
Okay, let me pitch into this. The reality is, I think I've accepted at this point in time that there really is a talent gap, and that we have to make it up in the training during when you're actually employed in the company. So I think maybe that's where a lot of the companies lack, because they expect that when you graduated from these courses, you're basically plug and play. And the reality is, that's not how it is. I've seen plug and play players when they have had a few years experience already. But for the fresh grads, they really do need that training, because I think I really like your emphasis on the impact part. Because I think that's really where the gap is. Like maybe they're technically proficient, but they don't even try to understand what the business is about. They have desires of like, I want to apply this because this is fun, right? But that's not what the business needs at this point in time. Maybe you're in a business wherein not so much as a mom and pop shop, but it's like it's still a small business. Wala pa kayo masyadong data. Ano yung basic requirement? Data gathering. Gusto mo na mag-data science? Syempre, hindi pwede. And then, like, that's the kind of thing that, excuse my term, the kiddos seem to like always want to do immediately. The fun, very exciting stuff. So, for me, because there's a talent gap right now, I am committed to hiring, who I feel like is the best qualified after they take the technical exams, after they take the interviews and everything. And then from there, I understand na pagpasok nila, they're not perfect candidates, right? And then they have to be trained up. And again, not a lot of companies have this kind of patience. And I think this is like where maybe the academe also can really focus on, is like parang bridging that kahit saan ka naman kasi pupunta it's like it's not just data and analytics that matters, it's like the final goal right? Yeah. So it's like pagkatapos mo gawin yung analytics mo, what's the next step. You don't just like jump to the next project and then analyze it. You see it through. And I think that's like something that schools, universities need to like push in their curriculum.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very beautiful, enlightening, no? The data proficiency amid talent cups. And I think that is something that we have to hold on also, especially that the question there is how much do we earn, di ba? Usually young talents would want to go there because of the lucrative industry
Yes,
behind it.
actually, so that's something also I find like when they come in, they're asking for so much already. For some, like they're asking so much, but it's like you don't even know how to translate your analytics to what the business needs. Like in our BI, there's like strategy and projects and FP&A, everything. At the end of the day, when it comes to the private sector, it comes to money and dollars. If you don't get that, you're going to be lost. You're going to be like behind the scenes and not gonna have a real impact on the company. You may have a project, but next month baka sideline ka na. Which I feel like baka na-experience nyo, right? So, ganun. So, they really need to understand that kasi hindi lang pagpasok mo, ay, I'm the best in my school and the best in my field. Wala ka pang masyadong alam on the reality of how actually businesses run. And I think that's like really, they need to get to know that first.
Okay, last 2 minutes. For all of you, then what would be the hopes and fears that we will see now in data analytics in the fifth industrial revolution, not only in the Philippines but worldwide? And then,
Sir, but before I answer your question, I just would like to add that
please,
that there's a gap between the what is the academic institutions producing and what is the industry needs. Actually, that problem exists siguro decades pa, di ba?
Even
Bata
in
pa
some
ako,
other
problem na yan eh.
disciplines. Even in some other disciplines,
Di ba?
no? Yeah,
Not
that's
only
the point.
data science but also in other disciplines. That's correct. Matagal ng problem yan. But recently, as I mentioned, in order to eliminate that gap is really to start collaborating between the industry, the government, and the academic institutions. And the release of the Philippine Skills Framework in alignment with the Philippines Quality Framework, hopefully that will be the start that we will start improving our curricula in order to produce better graduates that will meet the requirement of the industry. So hopefully that will be the start. Kasi nalampasan na tayo ng ating mga neighboring countries. And Vietnam did that 50 years ago. Di ba? They already started planting the seeds from the academic institution, collaborating with. So hopefully now in the Philippines, we already start doing it.
Okay.
Quick
Yeah.
add lang to the PSF. Sorry. So we refer to the Philippine Skills Framework. We refer to the Philippine Skills Framework, PSF. So that is thanks to the government. So DICT provided funding for industry associations. Walang academic na involved in creating that curriculum, that skills framework. Meaning, ito yung path ng data engineer, parang sa SPARTA. So, imagine those career paths. And then we added AI educator, AI engineer. In-update namin yan, no? But, imagine Shopee writing the job description doon sa skills framework. This is what I need. I will hire for an associate data engineer. Associate level. Fresh grad, pwedeng pumasok doon. Ano yung skills na kailangan? You click on that specific job or role, then it shows you introduction to programming. Kunwari, introduction to analytics, and introduction to SQL, database management systems, and so on, right? And then, may soft skills din. May critical thinking, blah, 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 and so on. Then, what is the path from the associate data engineer level? Anong pwede niyang i-take? Paano magpo-progress yung career niya? Pwede siyang mag-qualify for a data engineer or pwede ding mag-start mag-data science or business intelligence or something else, right? So, imagine that. I think how many levels yun, di ba? Hanggang, tinapatan natin yan. Hanggang qualifications, master's, PhD, and so on. So, the industry wrote that as a way to minimize or reduce yung skills gap natin that are being produced from the academe. I think it was in May or June, when we had that ceremonial turnover from industry associations, not just analytics and AI. Philippine Software Industry Association, for software development, there's also a skills framework. For Java programmers, anong pwede kong career path? Saan ako pwede mag-apply? Hindi na natin we won't only rely on what we get or what we teach at yung sa schools, but the industry said, this is what we need from computer science graduates. Ito yung magiging path. So imagine that a company or a group of companies, an association of companies, writing their wish list in a skills framework. So the AAP gathered all those together, and in that ceremonial turnover, binigay namin sa CHED, DepEd at TESDA. And private PASCO, yung Association of Schools, private schools, and others. No, I think nandun din yung mga invited natin ng mga universities. So that is something that we see in the industry side will help address that skills gap natin, no, na bakit hindi sila hireable. Of course, that just happened this year. So, yung effect nun, if that actually makes the hiring faster, and also, kasi yung minsan yung recruiters natin, di ba, hindi naman nila alam, data scientist daw ang kailangan. Okay, nakita ko may PhD, pwede na to. Di ba, parang hindi naman ganon. You just use the skills framework and see, these are the skills na na-take na niya, pwede na siyang mag-apply dyan. Right? So, I think, the question came from Sir. Sir, parang kilala kita. Cambridge? Yes, okay, see. So, if we have all the university schools, training providers, training firms, agencies, any learning provider, if they have this PSF, Philippine Skills Framework, with them, kaya nilang i-match. Dapat. That's the intention. Now, is it cast in stone? No. Because industry needs, they evolve. Ayan, may Gen AI na, may bago na namang aaralin. Sino ang mag-update ng PSF? Gusto ba natin government ang mag-update nun? Sorry, pardon, DAP. Pero, di ba? So, industry associations ulit. Kami po, we take it upon ourselves to update, at least on the analytics and AI. For software development, may sarili silang discussion doon. But we need to be the ones to update that kasi kami yung may kailangan. Right? But then, you have to accept. Schools have to be willing to also adopt. Kaya, thanks to the universities who are early adopters, and hopefully, next year, makikita natin na lumiliit yung gap na yun.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michelle. Miss Charmaine, last words for inspiration to this.
Sorry, I actually wanted to answer your last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you repeat it again?
The question that was asked.
The hopes and fears.
The hopes and fears. That's mine.
Actually, so for me, having context of being in a multinational company, I do see how we are perceived local on the regional side. And for the past few years, it has always been like parang, ang feeling is like, bakit PH parang hindi kasing ganda yung tingin ng mga ibang countries? Parang it's like behind in terms of like progress in technology. Parang hindi lang naisip na pwede kami mag-data science project, ganyan. I mean, locally, alam naman natin, kaya natin. But like from the different, from peers that you have, from like say BI or product team, na pagkausap mo si Singapore or si Shenzhen, parang feeling na, nakakasunod kayo. Ganyan. Hindi naman, parang feeling mo lang. Right?
It's a perception.
Right? Yes. So actually, my hope is that the investment in something like this actually results in more respect for the quality, the type of graduates that we would have eventually. Because from what I see right now, it's still always, as actually referring to the previous questions, like, ang hinahanap pa rin is like international graduates for different roles. But I actually don't even need that. To be honest, I see like parang Philippine capabilities are so high It's just that we don't get recognized as much, maybe because we don't have the right projects, or parang our schools aren't as well known yet.
But who should affirm it? That kind of recognition.
I feel like it takes some time to get that kind of credibility. So on our part here in our BI team, our projects on the local side are getting more regional exposure right now. Like parang may mga ginagawa kami, ay ganyan ginagawa nyo, ang galing naman. And then they see na parang, okay naman pala yung PH talent. But I don't want it to be isolated to, kasi Shopee PH yan. No, actually, what I want in the future is they think na, PH talents in general
Agree.
are good.
Very
right? Secondary to that point is, what I want is in the future, if I have great talents, that I don't lose them out to migration.
good. Yeah. Brain drain.
Yeah, because I have so many talents right now na parang, you're actually in a good pipeline. You have good opportunities for career projection here in Shopee Philippines. Even like parang if you want to go to other Shopee offices, right? But they would rather move so far away pa talaga. Parang it's like you're already actually in a good industry, and I feel like maybe the trust pa in the future
Wow.
is lacking.
That is aspirational and reawakening. Thank you. Yeah, last, inspiration.
Yeah, just to sustain lang po siguro the discussion. So in terms of hopes and fears po, and of course, we really see in the academic institution, particularly in a state university, of course, we really see a lot of hope, no, because having you guys, the industry with us, the DAP, of course, the DOST, and all the support coming from the government, we really see a future for this one. We envision of hopefully becoming a smart university, but though of course there are a lot of challenges. Now this is really a call for all state universities, siguro, especially in the top level management, to be more creative at this point. For me, I've been a dean since 2018. One of our investment really is more on collaboration and partnership, and we personally, with the two colleges that I have handled, I really invest on coming up with a program advisory council where we really invite industry to be part of our curriculum development, and sharing on how we will mold the college in the future, and we really have seen its the fruit of it. No, like for example. We integrated, in our BSIT program, we integrated several programs of the industries. Like, for example, for our BSIT with specialization in analytics, we integrated the DAP SPARTA. With our specialization in, before it was service management, and in web and mobile, we asked the help of Accenture. Actually, there was a case instance when, after the training program that we had in our third year to fourth year program, when we integrated the curriculum of Accenture, for example, there was this big hire. We got around, I think, 180 of our students were hired immediately right after graduation. So I see really that's really more of a collaboration, helping hand with, of course, the industry, the academe, of course, the government sector, working together po as we envision po of becoming really, in terms of our capabilities po, to be globally competitive. So though there are challenges, I believe, but I really see a bright future pa po ahead of us. Thank you very much.
Very well said. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give thanks to Dr. Kino Piad, Dean Ariel Kelly Balan, Ms. Michelle Alarcon, and Ms. Charmaine Cruz. Palakpakan po natin sila. Okay, I'll give it back to Ron and Karen.
To our speakers. Okay, the certificate says the Development Academy of the Philippines awards the Certificate of Appreciation to, we have Dr. Kino Piad, we have Dean Ariel Kelly Balan, we have Miss Michelle Alarcon, and Miss Maria Charmaine Celine Cruz. Signed, Dr. Mahalea V. Ravago, PhD, the DAP President and Chief Executive Officer. Now, may we request to be more compressed for photos, or Chester, please? Thank you so much. You may now take your seats, and hope you can stay a few more minutes so that we'll have a group photo.
Floor of the building.
Are you guys excited to present your research papers? So first, we have Data Analytics for Social Development. It will be held in room 217. So here are the research papers to be presented.
And we also have, yes?
Yeah, we have two breakout rooms. We have session 2A, which will be located in room 218. Of course, I'm sure you're seeing your research papers. And if you're interested listening to these interesting papers, please do so, or please attend this session.
All
The
right.
next one.
We have session 2B, and it will take place at room 219, where you can witness these capstone presentations.
And lastly, for our breakout session 3, we have Data Analytics for E-commerce and Finance. That is at room 220.
All right, and there we have it. You can also access the full list through the reminders sent in your emails. You are welcome to join any parallel session to explore various presentations. Just be mindful when entering the room to avoid disrupting our presenters.
There you go. We see you at 1 o'clock p.m. And now, it's time to close our very fruitful, meaningful, and informative plenary discussion here at the Cinema Room of Mapua University. For the closing message, let us give a round of applause for DAP Vice President or Senior Vice President for Programs, Ms. Magdalena L. Mendoza.
Thank you very much. To the Executive Director of the Philippine Statistical Research and Training Institute, Dr. Josefina Almeda. She had to leave earlier because of another meeting. To Dr. Ariel Kelly Balan of the Mapua School of Information Technology. Ms. Michelle Alarcon, President of the Analytics and Artificial Intelligence Association of the Philippines. Dr. Kino Piad, Vice President of the Bulacan State University. To Dr. Carmela Ramos, Chairperson of the Pangasinan State University Information Technology Department. To Ms. Charmaine Celine Cruz, the head of the Reporting and Analytics and Business Technology Group of Shopee. To Dr. Chester Cabalsa. To our SPARTA partner organizations, scholars, DAP colleagues. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I think we had a very, very interesting morning, starting with the presentation of Dr. Almeda and also the very interesting discussion from our distinguished panel. And I would like to express really my gratitude to everyone for joining the third Philippine Data Analytics Conference. I think we had a very, very timely theme, and that is data analytics in the fifth industrial revolution, innovating industry and academic practices, and hopefully including practices in the Philippine government. The Development Academy of the Philippines, as you know, it was established 51 years ago, has worked to always support the development forces at work in our economy. In particular, we do very selective human resource development. That is why we are called an academy. So we are not a regular state university. We do research, which is policy-oriented. We do gather data and also help government analyze data for decision-making, provide technical assistance, and offer training and education program. And included in our capacity development is the provision of training and programs that will make the different actors of our economy to be more skilled and innovative in order to adapt and thrive to this rapidly changing world. As you know, our country faces a very tall task of keeping up with the rapid digitalization, the advent, and I might say the popularization of artificial intelligence. Maybe in my school days, we've never heard of the term artificial intelligence. But nowadays, it's so common, no? And we talk about the fifth industrial revolution, where the integration of advanced technologies and even emerging technologies as well as human creativity is very much needed. And thus, it is very important to know how to harness data, because we saw from the presentations that that is a starting point to effectively derive actionable insights and push innovative practices in all sectors. Early this morning, Dr. Almeida mentioned about the Philippine Development Plan for 2023 to 2028, and also the Philippines Ambition 2040. Ito yung talagang big goal ng ating bansa. And together with this plan is the National Innovation Agenda also of our country, highlighting that innovation is a vital component of our country's national development. And it said in that document that our ability to be able to introduce innovations in our country will depend on the knowledge, no, that we will generate from scientists, from researchers, maybe from specialists, from the academe, and also, most importantly, from our students or from the youth of this country. So, mahalaga po talaga yung role nating lahat. No? Nasabi kanina ni Miss Charmaine, medyo, ano sabi natin, yung brand natin ng Philippine talent is medyo, ano matawag natin? Hindi ganun ka-popular or hindi ganun pang ka-esteemed, no? But there was a time na ang Philippine talent, siya yung best talent, not just maybe in this region, but in the world, but maybe in the near future with all of you, no? We can redeem yung reputation natin. The Smarter Philippines, through data analytics, research and development, training and adoption, or the SPARTA, has been equipping thousands of Filipinos with data analytics for the past 5 years through online training and events. This afternoon, as mentioned earlier, you will witness some of the solutions that the SPARTA students or scholars, I would say, have created to solve pressing issues in education, finance, and social development through the various parallel sessions. I therefore urge you to participate actively in these discussions and exchange ideas with experts to widen your professional network and the data analytics community. As I end my message, I express my deepest gratitude to Mapua University, sir, for partnering with the DAP to organize this event and championing data analytics with us. may affinity po ako sa Mapua. Kasi yung dalawa pong kapatid ko ay graduate ng Mapua, pero doon po sila sa Manila. And my eldest pamangkin is a graduate of Mapua, I think sa department ninyo. Nasa Asian Development Bank po siya ngayon nagtatrabaho. And I also thank the Bulacan State University. May affinity po ako sa Bulacan State University. Kasi Bulaqueña po ako. And the Iloilo State University of Fisheries, Science and Technology. Wish ko po talaga magpunta dito. So sa Western Mindanao State University, I think marami din pong partnership ang DAP aside from SPARTA with you. And we thank you for being our academic partners for this conference. We hope that you will continue and scale up the efforts to build a critical mass of specialists in this field of data science and information technology. As mentioned also by Dr. Almeida, I think it's very important. The theme of our conference is alignment. And let me reiterate, I think we need to continue our efforts towards strategic alignment and partnerships with the industry, the academe, the government, and maybe even other international institutions. To everyone here today, please continue to build the knowledge you've gained so that we can utilize data analytics as a core driver of a smart, innovative Philippines patungo sa maginhawa, no, panatag at matatag na buhay para sa mamamayang Pilipino. Magandang umaga po sa inyo.